What's going on, all? Thought I would do a little streaming while I'm painting. Nothing too crazy. I just figured while I was working on these miniatures that I should just try streaming a little bit. This is actually more of an experiment just to see how the stream is gonna work. Just wanted to check the audio and everything, make sure it's being seen and that, you know, it can actually be heard. I'm just touching up some, oh, hey, Haunted. Hey, can you tell me, is the audio sound okay and everything? Does it look alright? Sometimes I'm not sure if it's laggy or if the sound's off. Audio sounds good. Alright, thanks, man. Yeah. I actually picked up a commission to do. So I thought, I didn't know if I wanted to make a video for these guys or not. I don't know if this board game's really popular or anything, so I thought I would just try to experiment. I got a new camera, and I just wanted to see how it would. I wanted to see how it would perform and everything. It's kind of a little experiment to try out. How's everything going your way? Stupid spray primer is starting to get clogged up. The nozzle in it's starting to get clogged up some. So I have to touch some of these up with a little bit of black paint just so that there's no bare spots, because otherwise the regular paint won't stick to them. But actually these came out a lot better than what I thought they did. I thought that there was going to be a lot more missing spots. Yeah, maybe it's something in the settings I need to adjust. I see what you mean. I was wondering how that looked. Let me take a look and see if I can't fix something in the settings maybe. I'm not sure why it's like that. Oh yeah, a day off is always something to enjoy. Alright. Yeah, I'm looking at the camera. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Check the settings here and see if there ain't something that I'm missing. Video, stream, appearance, general. Well, let me see if I can Google it. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. The Medieval Dynasty. I should download that. I saw with the expansion, I think it's like $37 right now, which isn't too bad. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. By a wide angle, especially. Hmm. See if there's a camera settings here. Also said maybe I have it too close. Let me try moving it up some and see. Take it out of the holder here and see if this fixes it at all. It still kind of has that even up here. Maybe there's something in the settings I can fix. USB, configure video, configure crosshair, resolution. Capture audio. No, it still has that. Yeah, it's something I'll have to mess around with here and see. Now, are you guys recording the Medieval Dynasty? Are you guys doing videos for that, or are you just playing for fun? Zoom default. Oops. Hmm. Recording it and labeling it community village for anyone. Oh, okay. No. No. Oh, okay. Or you say you guys are gonna play tonight? Let me see if... No, that just shrinks it. Oh, it said he was done. Not sure exactly when. Waiting for him or whatever. Yeah, it still has that rounded thing. I'm gonna have to mess around with this and see about how to fix that field of vision. So it definitely looks weird. I mean, I guess if I'm holding up a miniature here, painting it, it doesn't look so bad. But it doesn't focus really well either. I might have to switch over and use my phone camera, I'm thinking. Maybe that would do a better job. Yeah. Yeah, technical difficulties. I'm a painter, not a streamer. Yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to go with it for now. It's definitely something that I'll have to... It's definitely something that I'll have to fool around with maybe and do some more Googling on. It's fine. Actually, let me pull up my... It's funny, sometimes I have to pull up like YouTube on my phone so I can actually see what's going on. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with it for now. And then, see if I can't fix it later on. Yeah, it doesn't look too crazy on there, I guess. That's what I get for trying to upgrade to a better webcam. Alright. Yeah, this commission I picked up today, it's from a person that I paint, well, I used to paint quite a few games for. But since I've started YouTubing and that, I haven't been painting commissions very much. But I like doing the commissions because then it gives me a little extra hobby money to spend on games and models for myself. And I don't feel so bad about taking it out of like the family budget. It just gives me a little extra cash to play around with. Then I can buy all my other nerdy stuff. And with these guys here, I'm just putting down a zenithal highlight on them. Yeah. I'm not sure how streaming and painting go together. I don't know if there is any interest in it from anybody to watch. I know like playing video games and stuff, you know, I mean, I like watching people stream them. I just put them on in the background, especially if it's a game I like or something, or just to hear them chatting a little bit. I just like having them on in the background. So I don't know. I mean, maybe there is a little bit for painting. You know, if somebody else is painting their miniatures up or something, they throw it on in the background and just kind of chat it up a little. That would be totally cool. Just dry brushing a gray on first, and then we'll dry brush a white over top of this. So I started using contrast paints for these guys, just to make it go a lot quicker. So when I used to do commissions, it took me a long time because I would just totally do layers and washes and all that crazy stuff on these guys. They look good, but man, it took a long time. It's funny with painting miniatures like this for a commission. I mean, this board game here, I think it has maybe like 155 miniatures with it. So it's kind of like you got to find a balance of trying to do it a little quicker. Because if you do like, you know, if I did something like charge by the hour or something, I'm making like, you know, 50 cents an hour painting. So find a little bit of a way to speed it up a little. Which some of these speed paints, it really helps with. I think people would like it. And it's asking questions live on techniques. I can see its appeal. Yeah, I think so. I see a few people, you know, I've seen some people stream painting miniatures and stuff, and some of them, they get a decent little crowd, you know. It's not like, it's not hundreds of people, but they get a decent little crowd sometimes. Do you have any upcoming plans for games that you're going to be playing on your channel more or streaming or anything? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's basically you have to just charge by the job and not really by the hour, but you can certainly sink a lot of hours into painting these guys. And luckily, I mean, the guy that I usually paint for, he's very happy with just like tabletop quality. I mean, he knows that these aren't going to win any awards, but they're going to look pretty decent on the table. Oh yeah, speaking of that, I haven't seen you play that Prison Guard game very much lately. Prison Simulator, or were you the Prison Guard? Been swamped with work, so just going with the flow on what it... Yeah. I mean, I guess having too much work like that, though, is a good thing. Much better than not having any work, I guess. I was actually kind of excited to pick up PGA Golf on summer sale for oh wow, that's good, $7. I used to, me and a buddy, we used to play the Tiger Woods golf games, and we used to have a blast with those. Like, they were so much fun. Especially, you know, we would just sit on the couch beside each other and just play them. It was a ton of fun. Yeah. Yeah. I understand that, like buying a ton of them, because it's like when they're on sale, you have to pick them up. And some of them are so cheap sometimes. I mean, they're great deals. You got to get them. I have a few games where I picked up where it's like I was really wanting to play them at some point, and then I saw them on sale. So it's like, oh man, I went ahead and grabbed them, and I just haven't really had too much time to play. And that's it. One of the people asked me about my gaming channel today. You know, if I was gonna start uploading games or if I was taking a break from it. And it's just, I just kind of decided to just kind of ramp up a little bit more or focus a little bit more on this channel because I'm so close to 1,000 subscribers. And I think, you know, I wanted to get to 1,000 and then decide from there if I want to continue or not. Because it's doing channel stuff, doing videos and that, I enjoy it. But then, you know, it can be kind of rough sometimes too. Just you put on a video that you think is going to be pretty decent and then it doesn't do so good, and it's a little bit of a bummer sometimes. Yeah, I did 2 Tiger Woods, the one so there are 2. There's other ones made by 2K. Oh yeah, I mostly only ever played the Tiger Wood ones. I haven't messed with too many other golf games. Here I'm just hitting them with a little bit of white so that whenever we put the contrast paint on, it'll really show in these areas. Yeah, and this is like a speed painting technique here to kind of put down these highlights and then hit them with a contrast paint. Summer sales until July 31st. Yeah, I'll have to check and see. I haven't really looked at anything that was going to be on sale recently. So I'll have to get on there and make sure that I'm not missing anything. I finally finished that game that I was playing on my channel there, though, the Look Outside. I got a couple of endings on it. I only needed to change the one, but I don't feel like playing back through to get the other ending. Good Pork. Hello, people's jumped on in. What are we painting? Hey, Pork. This board game here is the Great Wall. It's just, I've never played it. This is a commission that I picked up to paint. And I'm just setting these guys up to do a well, basically a slap chop on them. I'm doing my zenithal highlighting on them, and then I'm going to come back in with contrast paints and paint them up. The miniatures are awesome though, and there's quite a few of them, so I figured I would try to do a little bit of a speed painting technique on it so that I can get them done relatively quickly and still get decent looking miniatures for the table. I gotta say, ever since I started doing these speed painting techniques, I do like them. For the most part, maybe, you know, put more details into like character models and such. But for rank and file or these board game miniatures, it sure does speed up the process and kind of helps out. It's hitting her face a little bit here more so that whenever I put down the flesh wash, it'll show up a little bit on them. All that painting gave you a hair trigger on me. Yeah, I miss playing that. Like, we had a lot of fun playing that. I need to get back into it at some point. It's just finding time. It's so hard to, you know, as I said, I kind of wanted to focus on this channel here, just try to get over to that 1,000 mark, and then maybe go back and forth. Because doing 2 channels was taking quite a bit of time. I like doing the gaming channels. I think streaming and gaming is kind of fun, you know, because people are watching you as you're going along. I'm in the process of batch painting Shadows of Brimstone. Oh, yeah. Enemies speed paints are great. Yeah. I totally agree. Speed paints are great. And you get some really good looking miniatures with it too. It's kind of surprising how these speed painting techniques actually work out so well. I actually painted up the base game of Shadows of Brimstone a long time ago. Actually for the same guy that I'm doing this commission here for. But yeah, the miniatures are really cool looking for that too. I never played it. Have you gotten to play it at all yet or not? I'm just curious if it was a good game to actually play or not. See, one thing I'm guilty of is sometimes whenever I do get board games for myself, I'm kind of guilty of buying them because the miniatures are really cool, and then I never have time to actually play the game. But I think the miniatures look so cool that I end up buying the game and painting them up. That one there, I might have to tone it down a little bit there. A little carried away with the white. Gotta fix up some of these guys with a little bit of gray, tone them down some. White looks a little too chalky. Actually, I better hit the back of their heads here, so whenever I hit them with the flesh wash, it actually shows up. Otherwise, it'll be too dark. So this is the easel of a real painter, not well, actually, yeah, I started using a wet palette more. This is my old palette. Like, I've had this thing for years. It gets so much paint built up on it, and then I'll actually peel it off. Like, it'll just peel off in like nice big chunks and everything. It's kind of satisfying. But I actually use the wet palette more lately. But I've been seeing people, now usually I dry brush and I use the paper towel. But I've seen a lot of people recently using like a rough surface like this. Like, I've seen people using their cutting board even to wipe off like the excess paint. And I always use paper towel, but somebody said, I think I heard one time that using like a rough surface like this actually prevents some of the chalkiness that you get with dry brushing. So I thought I would pull out my old palette here and use its rough surface for like whenever I'm doing the dry brush. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure I notice a big difference on it or not, but you know, I figure I'd give it a try. Hey, Refi Blue, thanks for jumping in. Clean off some of these brushes real quick. It's just like, this is the water paint jar. This jar has been with me for years. I just keep using the same jar. Yeah, but it's funny. That thing's certainly been through a lot of different paints. Ooh, it's super neat to hear. I'll have to test that somehow one of these days. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. To me, as I said, I don't notice like a huge difference right now, but that's something that I heard, so I don't know. Bob Ross gigging as a time. Hey, I love watching me some Bob Ross. If only I could speak in that way that he does to make it so relaxing to listen to, you know? For these guys here, this is the original color for these miniatures here. So I grabbed this Plague Bear Flesh contrast paint. I'm just pretty much going to do a base coat over the entire model. And as I said, with these guys here, I'm trying to go quick on them. So I'll do the contrast paint, then come back in with some regular like gold paint and do a little bit of the trim. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know, really. It's certainly something. There's enough paint on there to preserve it for years, I think. Here's actually a test model that I painted up of these guys. I'm not sure if the camera will focus very well on it or not. But these were some of the archers. I just kind of did these guys up real quick to see how they were going to turn out. I think they look alright. For tabletop, you know, for a board game with 150 guys, I think this quality here is pretty good for throwing them on the table. And their color's green, so I try to use as much green as possible with a little bit of gold trim on them. But yeah, I talked to the guy that wanted these painted up, and he seemed pretty happy with that, so... I think I'm just going to put this over most of these guys as well. Try to miss the flesh parts. This might actually need 2 coats because I didn't really hit this very good on the back here, it looks like. Yeah, as I said, I didn't think I was going to do a video series of these guys here. I don't know how popular this game is. I haven't really heard anything about it until this guy reached out to me to get it painted up. But as I said, the miniatures look cool. Looks like it'd be fun to play. I guess that's looking alright. It's actually covering some of the parts I thought were a little too dark, but this contrast paint looks like it's doing a decent job of it. So I might not have to do a second coat on them. Now do you guys, when you paint, do you tend to use more speed painting techniques or more traditional techniques with them? I used to just mainly use just traditional techniques where I did the base coat, the layers, the washes, then come back in and highlight everything that I kind of covered up with the washes. But now I've kind of got more into the speed painting techniques, and I kind of like them, especially for like board game miniatures. So there's usually so many of them that it's nice to just kind of have a way of just getting them done real quick. Well, at least relatively quick. It still takes some time if you're going to pick out any of the details on them. But I think for some of the miniatures, I think I'm going to do the speed paints. And then for a lot of these just rank and file miniatures, I think I'm just going to do the zenithal highlights and then do the contrast paints on top of them. These guys here look to be like scholars. Some kind of, maybe a wizard. But I don't know. When he gives me the games to paint, usually I don't get any of the cards or rule books or anything. He just usually gives me the miniatures. So I'm not really sure how this game plays or anything like that. And luckily there are a few reference pictures out online right now, because sometimes that's the hardest part, is getting these games and trying to do a commission on them, and there's no reference pictures out there. And you know, if I don't get the card art or something like that, the box art, it can be kind of a challenge to come up with how to paint them. Now luckily the client, he's usually pretty cool about everything, and he don't really care too much about how I paint them up, so that's always pretty helpful. Takes some of the stress off. The square bases scream army movers, like Age of Sigmar, but the current fellows look like unit movers. Yeah. Now, do you play, I'm curious, I never really talked to anybody that played Age of Sigmar. I mean, how is it? Because I got started with miniatures playing Warhammer Fantasy, like the old world. And, you know, they were all square bases, and you'd line them up as a unit, you know, move them all forward at a time like that. They would wheel and pivot and stuff like that. That's what I always started, or that's how I started playing. And I really enjoyed it. And I've always been kind of curious, you know, whenever they kind of blew up the old world, and now it's the Age of Sigmar, I always kind of wondered how the game was. And I gotta say, it kind of, I know for me and my gaming group, like, we kind of boycotted it just because we were annoyed. Because, I mean, we liked our fantasy, the old world game, and they kind of got rid of it and turned it into more of a skirmish game. So I was just curious if anybody actually played Age of Sigmar and how it actually played, if it was fun or not. I don't play any yet. Big old poser, but I hear people say it's a very good time. You know, yeah, I have to admit, I do hear people say that it's good. So I don't know. Obviously, they know what they're doing, and it seems to be selling, because anytime I go to the hobby store, there's quite a bit of it on the shelves, and I know that they're always coming out with new miniatures for it and stuff, and the you know, the figures look fantastic. But I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get into it. I don't even know anybody in my area really that plays it. So I don't know. A lot of people in my area are 40K, which even me, I have quite a few 40K miniatures now. I'm a big fan. I love the lore of 40K. But I don't get to play it very much. And it's such a long game too, in my opinion. 40K has so many complicated rules for everything that it just takes so long to play a game. But, I mean, I love the lore. I love painting the miniatures for it and stuff. I think they look great. So I started dabbling in one-page rules, because it was supposed to be a little, you know, way more simplified. For the rules, it's one page technically, but you know, there's more to it if you want. I actually got into that a little bit. I enjoyed it. I haven't got to play it too much, But when I did, it was, I thought it was pretty cool. Certainly less complicated. And just kind of let you jump into it a lot faster. I read the Combat Patrol magazines, and even the combat encounters 1v1 units are like so in depth. Forget actual army skirmishers. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, GW, their games, their rules are always extremely, in my opinion, they're extremely complicated and they take a long time to get into. But, the miniatures are fantastic. I mean, I can't really say anything bad about their sculpts whatsoever. And their lore is usually really good too. Hey, Diesel Man, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. I got a new webcam and I thought I would just test it out. Plus I picked up this new commission today from a guy. And I just thought like, hey, you know what? Jump on, try to stream a little bit. I didn't know if anybody'd be interested in watching some paint dry, literally. But I thought, you know what? I wanted to see if I could get the camera up and running. And it seemed to work out all right, so thought I would jump on for a little bit and see what happened with it. Yes, sir. You had a pretty busy day of streaming yourself there. So, you were streaming there with Cosmic? I didn't get my... I could just stop in there when Roger was streaming. But I think you were streaming with him as well. Watching the new Bob Ross. Yeah, if only. Because I told Haunted, though, he was just in, and I said, man, I always loved watching Bob Ross when I was little, and I tell you what, I still enjoy watching it. Silver Scratch Built Productions. Hey, thanks for stopping in. Hello there, what you painting? These miniatures are from the Great Wall board game. And there is about 150 some miniatures. So I'm trying to do a little bit of speed painting on them. I'm just gonna do like I did my Zenithal highlighting here, and then I'm just gonna do contrast paints for the most part. I'm gonna go through and pick out a little bit of the detail, a little bit of the gold trim, do the flesh on them and such. But I'm trying to keep them as simple as possible just to get through them. Because this is the first faction here, the Turtle faction. And, the base color form was green. So I thought I would give these guys a shot first. See how it's going to turn out. In the mood to watch anybody paint miniature figs, and your stream was recommended. Good deal. Yeah, hey, I'm glad that they recommended it. I'm glad you stopped in too. That's it. I was hoping, I know sometimes like when I'm painting or something, I'll just put on somebody painting and just kind of paint along as they're painting. It's just kind of entertaining just to have somebody chatting, I guess. A little bit of noise in the background while you're painting. Share some techniques. That's one thing. Since I've gotten on YouTube, I do have to admit, I've learned a lot just by, trying to come up with new content and everything. Learning different techniques and watching other people paint and stuff. And I gotta say, it's, in my opinion, I think it's really helped me grow. Just learning new techniques and trying different things out. As I've said, I never really used I never really used speed painting very much previously. Oh, professional miniature painter, so I like to see what others are painting. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I mean, this is as professional as I get. I do commission painting. Well, actually, I've been doing commissions mostly for the same guy for years now, just a little at a time. Just don't have much free time to do it, but you know, he pays me for doing these, and then that just pays or gives me a little bit of extra money so that I can buy more nerdy stuff and miniatures of my own. So now I'm just hitting the fleshy parts with the Gilliman's Flesh contrast paints. Hey Kevin, thanks for stopping in. Yep, thank you for the background noise. Building over here, no painting. What are you building? What kind of, I assume miniatures that you're building? I gotta say, building miniatures though is kind of relaxing. Like, I really enjoy building miniatures where you can just kind of, I mean, at least I do, you can just kind of zone out. And as you said, you can put on some background noise and just kind of listen to some chatter while you're putting together the miniatures and stuff. I actually kind of enjoy that part of the process. I know some people don't like building them, but I never minded too much. Eager to do more building myself. Can't decide if my next buy is single Tyranid models. Trying to get my hands on a bundle. Oh, yeah, yeah. So you play Tyranids then? I have quite a few Tyranids. I mean, I don't have a massive Tyranid army, but I do have some. But yeah, Nids are so fun to paint up. There's some, well, I mean, I love the miniatures, and that's kind of what drew me to them. But they're so fun to paint up. I painted mine in High Fleet Leviathan colors. I mean, I like purple is one of my favorite colors too, so that was kind of easy to pick up on. Silver scratch build protection. I make my own paints, washes, basing compounds. That's awesome, man. Now, do you sell them and stuff? I mean, like, do you have a company where you actually make the paints and sell them and everything? Kevin, actually a 135 Panzer. Again, I do have some Space Marines I've just primed. I need to paint. Maybe I'll jump on that. Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do enjoy painting some Space Marines. I never tried painting, and a buddy of mine is a big history buff. And he's often asked me to paint like tanks and such, but I never did. But I've always kind of wanted to. But painting vehicles and stuff, I have a hard time getting like a real smooth coat on them. Mostly because I don't use an airbrush very much. I used to, but I just kind of got away from it. I need to update it. My airbrush, it's not so good anymore. But yeah, I've always kind of wanted to paint some historical figures. I think that would be fun. Now, if you paint, now Kevin, if you paint your Space Marines, what chapter are you going with? I went with Raven Guard is what my main Space Marine army is. And I got the last Kill Team box set, and those ones there I painted up as Flesh Tearers, just for something different. I always kind of like the chapters that are a little, not like the mainstream ones. I always kind of went for those a little bit more. Salamanders are probably my favorite, but I wasn't too sure if I could freehand paint flame effects on them and such. So that's why I ended up going with the Raven Guard. Because I like them too, but I figure I wouldn't have to freehand any painting on them. Hey, Harold and Bob, thanks for jumping in. Between Colombia and the Congo Republic. I have no idea, man. That's above my pay grade. Riffy Blue. If I were a smarter man, I'd go with a defined color set like Leviathan, but I decided I wanted my own scheme and only realized too late. Zero color coordination skill. Hey, I get you. Yeah, but with Tyranids, I mean, they're so alien that you can't go wrong. I mean, no matter what color you paint them, they're alien. So, I mean, you know, who knows why they're the colors that they are. So I think you're fine going with any color. I mean, you know, whatever you think looks good, I say go with it. These contrast paints make painting up the flesh on these guys so easy. It's so much better than trying to put down a base coat, wash it, bring back the highlights and such. It's just silver, no. Oh, okay, you just make them for yourself then. That's still awesome, man, that you're able to do that. I would have no idea how to even begin making my own paints. I guess I could start using some gold and picking out some color, or picking out some trim. Kevin, nice. Actually just hit the Raven Guard book in the Heresy series. Just starting with Ultramarines, never played Warhammer, just love the books and all that. Oh yeah, man, totally. As I said before, I'm a huge fan of the lore. I didn't play Warhammer or 40K for a long time. I was just such a huge fan of the lore. I read all the books and everything, but I just never got into playing it until kind of recently. But yeah, big fan of the lore. I finally finished up the last of the Horus Heresy books. So now I think they're going to start the Scouring, which will be kind of cool to hear, or kind of cool to read about. Debating on if I want to paint the head here, if I want to paint this gold, or if I want to paint it something else and have like white tusk come out of here. But Ultramarines, yeah, you can't go wrong with Ultramarines. I mean, They're a great chapter too. I like contrast paints for alt armies. Base coats are for my main squeeze. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like contrast paints and speed paints and such for like rank and file armies, or like these board games here where I'm just trying to kind of get them done. It's what I use them mostly for. Now hitting this trim is going to take a while to just get through this. Silver right now. I have Tyranids, Dark Angels, Terminators, and a Dreadnought and Mortarion on my paint table. Oh wow. Yeah, I really like the Death Guard. They're one of my favorite like chaos armies. I couldn't imagine though. I'm afraid to try to paint Mortarion. I always liked him. I liked his character and such. I love the model. But I'm afraid to try to paint it. It intimidates me, to be honest. I have a small chaos army, but they're just undivided. They're not really towards one chaos god. You bother when my squads are differently, slightly different shades of red. I totally understand. I get that. It would bother me too. Yeah, that's what, once I start painting an army a certain way, I stick with that way of painting them all. Cause I'm like that too, man. It would totally bother me. Every time I looked at them, it would just annoy me. So I totally understand. And I like to display my miniatures too. I have a lot of them in a curio cabinet, so that I can look at them rather than pack them away. You know, if you don't have the space for them and you pack them away, that's fine. But I like to check them out once in a while. You know, you put a lot of time into painting them and stuff. It's kind of fun to look at them once in a while. Just getting some of this trim here knocked out. This is the tedious part. It's not too bad. I'm not going crazy with it or anything, but I just wanted to give these guys a little bit of difference to them. So I'm about 60 hours into them right now. Oh, I believe it. And is that now? Is that 60 hours including some painting, or is that just building them so far? Because I could see him taking a ton of time just to build, like just to trim them up right, get them all put together. It sucks when you grow as a painter mid-army and you find a groove that is radically different after you've gone through 700 points. Yeah, I understand that. Because then it's like, you kind of feel like you should go back and maybe repaint some of your guys. And it's like, but do you really want to do that? That's the problem I've had sometimes, just putting together stuff or just starting to paint an army, as you said, and then maybe you find something that works better. Whereas you said grow as a painter, and it's like, oh man, should I go back and repaint some of these? But oof, it's just nice being done too. I'm gonna have to think about this turtle head here on the shell, how I want to handle that. If I want to paint it gold, or if I want to leave it green, but then put on like some white tusks, like animal tusks on there. I don't know. I got my hands all stained up earlier because I was trying to prime them black, and the stupid nozzles on my primer were all clogged up. So I put them in some acetone to try to unclog them, because the paint cans are still pretty full. So I'm like, I don't want to lose the full paint cans just because of the stupid nozzles. So I'm hoping that the acetone kind of takes away or eats away the clumps in it, the clog. Build and start painting. Yeah. Yeah, I can totally see him taking a ton of time, man, so... I better get this spelled here. I'm glad y'all stopped in tonight. It's just interesting to talk to other painters and stuff, see what people are working on, what their thoughts on everything is. I'm really thankful everybody stopped in tonight. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting here painting, watching somebody else stream. Yeah, repainting a squad of 10 sounds terrible. I always flush out battle line just in case. I don't mind having the worst ones removed from the board entirely. Also, a dog airbrush is still better than rattle can for priming. I've been thinking about upgrading my airbrush, my airbrush, and priming with that, because I have had issues in the past with the rattle cans. I've had issues with them, like giving a powdery or like a rough texture on the primer. Like, it'll dry and the miniature will actually have like a real rough, coating to it. And I don't know if that's because it's drying before it hits the miniature or the humidity or what it is. But man, it really sucks to prime like 20 miniatures and they come out that way, because you have to, then I have to strip them and stuff, and it just really sucks. Kevin, YouTube must like you because your stream was the first thing on my own page. I don't know, man. Maybe, yeah, I don't know why they recommended me. I'm glad that they did, but because I don't usually stream, so this is kind of surprising that they did. I don't know. What caused your airbrush woes? Nothing really. I mean, I have an airbrush. It's older, and I used to use it quite a bit, especially for bigger miniatures. I would use it because it is really nice for blending and transitioning colors and such. And it does give you nice smooth coats. I mean, you can't beat an airbrush for that. But I think just over time, the needle started getting bent some. Yeah, I did. The needle started getting bent a little bit, and I think I just need to upgrade it because it was starting to sputter some. So, like, I would have a nice smooth coat down, and then I would go over it or to blend something, and it would suddenly spit out like a little glob. And with an airbrush, it's also fine that even if you get a tiny little like drop that spits out from it, it just like ruins the whole coat. So that's kind of why I stopped using it. Just, I kind of got tired of it doing that. But it's probably my fault for not cleaning it as good as I should and just not upgrading it. But it's definitely probably something I should go back to, or at least look into. Water in a glove. I'm in Florida and I had to get a humidity trap. Sputtering can be helped. Squeeze some water. Yeah. It was like a splatter. Sputtering can be helped by squeezing some water. Oh, at the nozzle every few minutes. Yeah. See, and I need to go back and give it another shot. I really do. Because as I said, you can get such smooth coating with it that you just can't. Well, at least I can't. I've never been able to replicate it quite as good with a brush. And it is much faster too, so I totally get the appeal of the airbrush, and I would totally use it if I had a good one at this point and took better care of them. Still got 6 of these guys to go. This trimming is putting down this trim is like a labor of love. Well, this isn't as bad. And something I really struggle with, and I don't know if you guys do with painting like Space Marines, is like line highlighting or edge highlighting. It's something I feel like you kind of need to do, but man, I struggle with that sometimes. I usually got to go back and make several corrections. Even if it's just for priming, the airbrush will help you a ton. Using Amazon. Oh, you know what? Yeah. Yep. I have seen a lot of other painters using them for the Zenithal, and I agree. I think that it would help, like even these guys here, doing them with the dry brush, there is some chalkiness to the coating. And I think it would speed it up a lot too with using that for the zenithal. And you're right. I mean, maybe a $40 one would do good too. Just for, you know, doing the zenithals. It's something I need to look into. I mean, $40 for an airbrush isn't bad at all. You can get a great airbrush from Harbor Freight Tools with a good air compressor. Yeah. See, I have a pretty decent air compressor. I don't have any complaints about my air compressor, but I never thought to look at Harbor Freight. Because there is a Harbor Freight right near me, so it wouldn't be a big deal to go over there and take a peek. I want to say, I think I bought my original setup maybe at Michael's, but that was like years ago. It was either Michael's, I think. So they used to have some pretty decent coupons. I think you guys might have convinced me to actually go get an airbrush and try it out. Or try getting back into it, rather. Peace out for now. I'll be tuning in when I see you pop up. Also earned a sub tonight. Hey man, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Yeah, stop back in sometime if I'm streaming again. But yeah, I'm glad that you jumped in, man. I appreciate it. Use a damp sponge to wipe your paint off your brush. You won't get that. You know, that's true. I've heard that from somebody else gave me that recommendation. To not dry brush it so much, if that makes sense, like not to completely dry out your brush, that it'll help with that. It's something that I need to try, but you're the second person now that's told me that, so it's definitely something that I need to give it a shot. Well, it's taken me, though, I've been painting for well over 20 some years. And I'm certainly no expert or nothing like that. I'm just saying I've been painting for a really long time. And just recently I started using a wet palette, where I always just used a regular old palette and stuff, and my paint would dry out over time. I do gotta say, I'm a big fan of the wet palettes now, because you can put down a little bit of paint and it does seem to last on there forever. Well, maybe not forever, but you know what I mean. It'll last on there for quite a while, and you can kind of keep going back to it and keep using it. So I am open to learning new tricks and stuff. I have a cheap brush I just use for priming too. Yeah. Yeah, I might give that a shot though. So I know with that, as I said, with rattle cans, I have run into a problem with that. I've also run into a problem where like the miniature won't dry, where it stays tacky. I don't know how to fix that either sometimes. I think it just is the type of plastic that the miniature is. But certain times I've used a rattle can and they never dry, and I end up having to strip them off because I just can't get it to dry, and it'll stay like forever tacky. Yeah. Yeah, just change it. Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I let mine go for quite a while. But I mean, you know, as long as I don't see no mold or anything crazy going on with it, uh, I just kind of keep using it. But I do notice that the paint, or at least in my experience with it, the paint starts to break down when it's in the wet palette too long. Like usually, if I come back the next day and try to use the paint, it's starting to break down some. Not really too good anymore. Depends on what kind it is. All right, we're getting there. Four more. Now, Silver, you were saying that. Well, you were saying like you're a professional painter and stuff. I mean, do you paint guys and then sell them, or do you do commission work? And I assume whenever you said about being a professional painter that you mean like for miniature painting and such. So I'm just curious because I used to do quite a bit of commission work. But for me, it was easy to get burned down on. I'd have to take breaks once in a while from it just because. And then I wasn't really having any time painting my own miniatures. So it was like I was doing all this work for other people and not really having any time to paint my own. So that kind of like was a bummer after a while. With these guys here, I'm trying to leave on as much as the green as possible because that way they're rather than painting the bases green, I want to keep as much green as possible. So that's why I'm just kind of just gonna do mostly this green on them for that contrast paint, and then just pick out a little bit of this trim here. Just really keep them pretty simple. I was saying about chaos armies and Nurgle's like one of my favorites, but I'm also a big fan of Slanesh. I kind of like I always like the lore and stuff behind that. And I always liked painting up Slanesh type miniatures using the purples and the pinks and the bright colors. And I know I was tempted to get the new Emperor's Children boxes when they came out, but I just kind of was a little afraid to start a whole nother faction. Get invested in that. It's the only problem with GW is starting a new army or a new faction or anything is always like, I mean, a pretty big commitment. It's hard to just jump right in and start. But it's just so tempting sometimes when you see those miniatures and it's like, oh man, they look so cool. Their new sculpts are amazing. But I guess that's sort of like most games. It's easy to kind of get sucked into buying different factions and stuff. It was kind of like that whenever I used to play Warhammer Fantasy, the old world. And my first army for that was Lizardmen. Because I've always been a huge like dinosaur, Godzilla nerd all growing up. So an army with giant lizards and dinosaurs in it, man, that was my bread and butter right there. Making sure I got these belts. I thought there was one I missed. Alright, just a couple more to go here. One more after this guy. It's always nice when you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. At least the other guys, the like priest looking guys, they don't have nearly as much trim on them that I want to paint, so they should go a lot quicker. I was going to try to I was thinking about finishing these warriors here, but I'm thinking since I already have some gold out on the palette, rather than waste it, I might as well just paint the trim up on those priest guys as well. Yep, I did pick up a kill team starter with Plague Marines and Ultramarines. I figure I'd pick up my chapter after I finish the Heresy. Oh, I figure you pick your chapter. Yeah. I painted that kill team. As I said, mine, instead of painting Ultramarines, I painted them as Flesh Tearers. And then I painted up the Plague Marines that were in it too. Which Nurgle, in my opinion, Nurgle miniatures are so fun to paint. Because you can make them real dirty looking. I don't know. I enjoy it. I like green. But I'm a fan of Slaanesh too, so Korak seems cool. Yeah, see, and that's my army's, my main 40k army is Raven Guard. Because I kind of like Koraks. And I kind of like Raven Guard. They weren't like the most popular chapter, but I thought they were pretty cool. And being all black, they were pretty easy to paint up too. So I have all of the Emperor's Children miniatures ordered along with the Eldar Phantom Titan. Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I know they just came out with the Emperor's Children return, and it was tempting, but I haven't got any of them yet. I don't know if I will, but I haven't yet. All right, last guy. Oh, Kevin, do you mean now in the current 40K universe, or do you mean during the this part of the heresy that you're on? I have to say, I've always been like, speaking of Primarchs and stuff like that, like I am a big fan of the Primarchs. I really enjoy their stories. I loved like whenever the books would have them in there and you could get some like a little peek inside or a little more information about the Primarchs and how they thought and everything like that. Those were always my favorite parts in the books. And I always kind of got annoyed when I would pick up a book that was supposed to be about a Primarch, but it was more like, they would just barely talk about the Primarch. And the main story of the book would be about, a guardsman or something like that. Where it was like I actually wanted to hear more about the Primarch and just kind of get more of an idea of their character and such. Because they are such cool characters. Like, I think it's extremely interesting. But sometimes the books would annoy me whenever I'd get one and it was like, wait, the Primarch that this book was supposed to be about was barely in it. I haven't painted up any of the new Primarch miniatures though. As I said, just like I was saying with Mortarion, uh, kind of intimidating me. I kind of feel that way with the other Primarchs as well. Their miniatures, they look so cool and complex that I'm just afraid that I won't do them justice. Yeah, I'm on book 18. It's all about Corax Ravenguard. But I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes, as I said, I'm a huge fan of the Primarchs, and I want to hear about them and what they're thinking and what they're doing and such. It would almost be like they would be a secondary character in the story. So, sometimes like that it would kind of annoy me. I was like, oh man, I was actually hoping to hear more about the Primarch. But for the most part, the Horsey was extremely interesting to read. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I'm not though. I have to admit, and I might be in a minority. I know that they're coming out with a lot of the Heresy miniatures now, but I'm not really a big fan of those. I don't really like uh, the older style of Space Marines, like the armor and stuff, the dreadnoughts. So I don't think that I will pick up any of those miniatures. That might be heresy to even say that. But if I'm being honest, I'm just not a big fan of the way they look and such. But, Alright, I might as well keep rocking with this gold. Figure otherwise it'll dry up. Why waste it We all know these paints ain't cheap. Yeah, at least these guys ain't got nearly the amount of trim on them, so... I don't know what this little bucket's supposed to be. If it's like gold coins, it kind of looks like gold coins. So I guess I'll go with that. Just paint them gold as well. Trying to think of what I'll even paint for myself here coming up. I don't know whether to I don't know whether to build onto my Tyranid army or not. I do enjoy painting Tyranids, though. I think that they're fun to paint. They don't really bother me that they're like a horde army. Just because I enjoy painting them. I love the like kind of insectile alien look to them. I love their design. I like the story behind them. I like reading books where the Space Marines are fighting them. Those are always good. Although I haven't completely read, I think the latest one was Devastation of Baal. I think that was the last book about like the major battle with Tyranids. I haven't read that one completely yet. But I think you guys pretty much convinced me tonight to give the airbrush another go. So I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check and see where I can get a better deal, if it's Amazon or Harbor Freight, and pick one up. I mean, even if I'm just kind of using it for priming and doing the zenithal, I agree that I'll probably get better results. So, and if it helps speed things up too, that certainly isn't going to hurt. I just need a tiny little bit more of this gold to get through this last guy here. But it's quickly running out. Thinking I might paint that little ball on their head too gold. I am glad though that I've started using these contrast paints. It definitely speeds up the process, at least for tabletop quality. You know what, I think I am going to touch them little things on top of their head and just make them a little gold here. Just to make them stand out a little bit. All right. Let's see here. I think I'll use a little of the speed paint to hit the shafts of the weapon. And also this, I can't tell, it looks kind of like it's a bag, maybe? Like a bag that they're carrying their gold coins in, so I might just hit that as well with this. This brush like falls apart once it has a tip, but then once I touch the miniature with it, it's like kind of falls apart. Yeah. You get to stay together. Sometimes on these miniatures, it's like you just kind of got to guess what they're holding and what they got with them. Especially with these board games, because they're so small usually. If I don't have a reference picture, which I don't for this commission, he just kind of gives me the miniatures for this. It's like you just kind of guess what they're holding. I'm thinking that this is a sack of coins. Don't know for a fact. But that's what they're getting now. Oop. These speed paints too, man, they really flow well on there. It don't take much to get some good coverage. I really like them. Been slowly building up my collection of them. I'm getting there. I'm getting a decent amount of different colors. I don't think I need every single shade. So you can combine some of them or mix some of them, but I'm getting there. After these guys, I think I have 4 more factions. Blue, red, orange, yellow, I think are the other factions. So the other day at the hobby store, I made sure to pick up the contrast paints for those colors. So I knew this was coming. Figured I wanted to try to get it painted up fairly quickly. Yep. Dropping stuff. Yeah, I've painted up a number of board games for this client here. Most of them I've never played or anything. There was one though that, and sometimes though, painting them up for him, the miniatures are so cool that I'll end up going and buying the game for myself. And one game that I actually went and bought from after I painted it up for him was Cthulhu Wars, because I'm such a big Mythos Cthulhu fan. Love all the stories, love the lore. And I painted up his game of them, but I haven't painted my own game yet. And it's a fun game. Like, it's actually one that I've gotten to play. The miniatures are super cool. Sculpts are awesome. It's a fun game. It's not too crazy or not too complicated. But I just haven't, after painting up his set, I just kind of haven't felt the urge to paint my own setup yet, which is kind of crazy. But I should, now that I have speed paints and contrast paints and such, because they're all just sort of big monsters. I mean, there's some cultists, but you could paint those up real quick too with this method. But the bigger creatures would go really fast with speed paints and contrast paints. So, who knows? Maybe someday I will get the urge to paint that up. All right. Let me grab a little silver. Little plate mail metal. Get these halberds. I might go back in with gold and just hit that trim on these blades as well. Just for a little extra detail. I don't know yet. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do with that turtle face on the shields. Might have to look and see if there's a reference picture for these guys. I don't know if it's supposed to be green as well, or if I should hit it with some white. I don't know. I'll have to decide on that. I don't think I need this silver for the other guys, the priests. I don't think they have really anything going on with them. I'm almost wondering how like streaming a 40k miniature would do if a lot of people would turn in for that or tune in for that. It's maybe something I should consider. Painting up some of those guys. But as I said, sometimes for streamers, I just kind of tune in just to have some background noise, so it's not really so much what they're painting. Looking good. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, for board game miniatures, for tabletop quality, they're looking fine. They're certainly not going to win any awards, but they look better than unpainted miniatures, I suppose. It's funny, the guy that I paint these for, he even says, like, you know, he might get to play the game one time or something. He'll pay me to paint them up and then not really have the time to play. But it's fine. It gives me a little extra money for my hobbies and helps him out, so I guess it all works out. All right. These are the guys so far. Getting the base coats down. And I think I'm going to hit them with a darker... I think I'm going to have them match these guys here, where I might hit the helmets with like a darker green contrast paint. And maybe this back piece on them, just to give them a little extra. I might pick out that trim gold. Oh, speaking of gold, I missed this guy's shoulder pads. I just happened to notice. And those guys here, I don't know. I want to paint their mustaches for sure. But I don't know. I might just leave them as is and call them guys done. I don't know. Maybe hit up their gold shoulder pads with like a brown wash just to add a little something to it. Might need a little bit more detail. But yeah. I think they're coming along. Let's take a peek at Google here, see if I can find a reference picture real quick. Yeah. All right, well, I think I might call it there for tonight. And then come back and hit some more of these guys tomorrow. Just want to touch up some of these spots here. Get them filled in. Then, as I said, I'm going to paint their mustaches so that they kind of stand out. And that should give these guys some detail. I don't know why this spot in here like kind of didn't fill in very good. But yeah, I mean, for everybody that stopped in the stream tonight, thank you. I really appreciate it. It was fun hanging out with everybody and chit-chatting a little bit. I love hearing you know, what other people are into. It was a lot of fun talking about the different factions and stuff. and how everybody else paints stuff. It's just really interesting. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for stopping in. I really appreciate it, and I hope if I stream again that I'll talk to you guys again soon. So everybody have a good night, and I'll see you later. Bye.